Hi there, my name is Manuel Morales Colorado. I am 20 years old, and today I would like to talk about my experience and pieces of learning that I could gather throughout this semester at university, specifically in a subject called ELT, towards a holistic learning. Let's go for it. So, first and foremost, I want to talk about those things that I learned during this semester. I became increasingly aware of the different contexts in which I can teach little kids, teenagers, adults, different populations and which demand or have different needs. So I just became aware that little kids have a really good retention, but they need an external motivation, whereas we as adults, we can have an intrinsic motivation. Um, Little kids are developing their motor skills, they need to develop finesse, whereas adults, they have simply just defined somehow a personality, and we have the ability to come up with new ideas, with abstract things, abstract concepts. That is a great difference, right? So those conditions, those attributes shape the way how we approach as teachers, right? The other thing is about the context. We should focus on the things that we can have at our disposal, fruits, vocabulary that the kid is going to associate, internalize in a more meaningful way. Number three, we have the inclusion of social networks and different conditions that were not 50, 60 years ago. So that is a huge change, and we have to adapt and come up with new ideas creatively and enthusiastically. The other point is the emotions. How did you feel yesterday? How are you feeling today? Did you smile already? It is important to know, not only kids, but ourselves as educators. If we're not happy, we're not going to transmit or we're not going to display anything. We're not going to convince anybody. So be happy first, and then you can share that happiness, right? The other is about creativity. Be resourceful, right? Let's continue with number two. Oh, all right. I also learned about Colombia, the way how English is taught, the different programs that have been implemented up to now, and some considerations concerning the type of material and tasks that we demand from our students. What are we really assessing and what do we want them to do? I learned that the uniqueness of each context is unmatched. I love working with kids. I have realized that I miss them very much, and I would love to continue working with them. Let's wait and see what happens. Next, we can create, we can design content, but we also need to adapt. That is an ability that we should develop. Now, what did you find challenging? In this case, it was perhaps the connectivity. Sometimes at home, it was a little bit hard to have a really good connection. However, I learned a lot, and I was able to attend the classes and participate actively. We also had scaffolding, which is the graduation of the contents and materials for each different level. So that is hard for me because I tend to exaggerate a little bit more, right? I tend to go a little bit higher, but it's okay. That is one point that I need to improve, and I'm on it. Now, some reflections that I got from teaching English as a foreign language. So, teaching, it is not a neutral process. We need to transform realities, and we should just go for an inclusive society. Inclusive, not integrating. We don't want to have numbers or treat people as numbers, as indicators. We want to feel them, to listen to them, to work with them. English, to tell the world who I am, where I belong to, and what my dreams are. Foreign cultures which could converge, and languages and communities at one point in time. Of course, this is a language is the representation of a culture somehow. So it is rather important to pay attention to the types of registers and the words that we are transmitting and teaching. Now, what was new for me? Our guests' experiences, that was one point. What am I going to do after my degree? Number two, the material and resources that we touched on, and how we can teach in Colombia. That is another thing that I learned. Lastly, some suggestions. Please, teacher, be as embracing, patient, and strict as you have been throughout this time. That is really important. And indeed, you have been a really remarkable, I would say, remarkable teacher. So the classes were rather interesting, appealing, and there was something new to learn. Thank you for that.